Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ronnie Johnson, and I've been married to my beautiful wife, Dannie, for 8 years. We have two girlies, an almost 7-year-old and an almost 5-year-old. I'm originally from New Mexico, but have been a Texan now for about 10 years, a little over 10 years, and have been at Watermark Plano, CityBridge now, obviously, for about 6 years. So I was raised in a typical Christian home with an older sister and two loving parents who taught me the importance of serving God and doing what was right. We attended church most Sundays, prayed before meals, and were at church pretty much whenever it was open. At the age of 7, I gave my heart to Jesus at a Salty the Bible event. While I don't think I could fully understand grace at the time, I believe that I knew Jesus was the only path to salvation and that I needed him in my life. My home was a textbook Christian home, and from what anyone could tell, it was pretty great. It was in middle school that I had my first exposure to a lot of things, sadly, like kids who did drugs, cussing, and of course, what girls were all about. By the 7th grade, I had kissed 2 different girls in 2 different closets, and I was quickly becoming aware of the opposite sex. But it wasn't until high school that I found my way to pornography and moved more into inappropriate relationships with girls that would last through college. And don't forget, this was all while being a good Christian boy at church and at home. After graduating from college, I decided I would pack up my things and move to Dallas to start a new life. I started attending Watermark and learning more about what a fully surrendered life to the Lord really looked like. It was at the porch where I heard JP mention from the stage the very first night I went, something like, if you're tired of hitting your head, then stop saying you can. Because you can't, but he can. And so I went home that night and I wrote on this whiteboard in my room, I can't, but he can. Little did I know that saying was going to be tested in my life shortly after. Despite the things that God was showing me about himself, I still wasn't ready to let go of one of my most destructive addictions, which was pornography. One night, after stumbling around the dark parts of the internet, I found myself on a site that presented me with the option to pay a woman to come to my house. Something I could never have imagined doing, but I did. Once again, I thought my way was better than God's way, and that if he wasn't going to take care of me when it came to love, then I would take care of it for myself. Before that woman left my house, she noticed my whiteboard in my room where I had written that thing, and she asked me what it meant, what I had written that said, I can't, but he can. I felt like God was speaking to me right where I was in that moment, my lowest, darkest point of my life, and he was there through it all. Shortly after this event, I started attending Regen and living authentically with others for the very first time in my life. It was in Regen that I came to understand the full depth of Christ's love and grace for me for the first time in my life. The Lord used my now wife, Dannie, to show me what it meant to be loved in a healthy, God-honoring way. I didn't need to hide my sin or pay for her love, and through the process was able to fully confess everything to her. Fast forward to today, and I can tell you I'm anything but fixed. The Lord has put people in my life, like community, since, for 6 years here at CityBridge, to walk alongside me when I needed them most. Couples that have cared for me and my wife together through it all. In fact, over the past 2 years, the Lord has been walking Dannie, my wife, and I through some of the hardest trials we've faced yet, including recognizing where our marriage is deficient and situations involving my dad's prostate cancer that's becoming increasingly more serious. It's that same community group that I have one of my best friends named Austin, who's been faithfully pursuing me and admonishing me through it all. He's seen me at my darkest and has loved me through it all, just like Christ has. It's with each new challenge I can feel the Lord revealing himself to me through his word, his people, community, this church, the guys I've met in Regen, and the situations I find myself in. By spending time in my word daily, I can see the gospel come to life through these hardships. I've seen God move again and again and prove himself to be faithful even when I'm not. So if you're hearing this and you think you're too far gone, you've done awful things, let me tell you that the same thing that's true for me is true for you, that Jesus is better than everything you think you want, and that you can trust him. And that if you're tired of hitting your head against the wall, just remember you can't, but he can. Thanks for letting me share.